Hi, I'm Tom from Runners Need and Cotswold Outdoor, and I'm in love with the Hoka Mafate X's. So this is another pair of shoes that I've done well over 100 miles in. I've done marathons, I've done ultras in these, as well as using them for training. And it's my first pair of carbon plated shoes, and they work really well for me. Runners, particularly long distance runners, will probably be very familiar with the Hoka Mafate shoe. Very, very famous shoe. Lots of people I know wear it for longer distances, things like ultra marathons, things like the Spine. I've seen a lot of Mafates out and about, and I know people that use them and absolutely love them. I'd never had or used a pair before, and I've gone to the Mafate X's, and I can definitely see the trail pedigree in a pair of shoes like these. So I did an ultra in these a few weeks ago, and I loved how responsive they were mile after mile, and how they didn't fatigue my feet. Normally on that kind of distance, with a typical trail shoe that had got a lot less cushioning in it and was a lot less responsive, i.e. no carbon, you'd start to feel fatigued after a while, and I just didn't get it. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the outsole. So this uses a Vibram Megagrip, like a lot of top drawer trail shoes. These have only got 3.5mm lugs, so you might think they're actually starting to sound a little bit shallow for what you need. However, they are very well spaced to allow the mud to drop out, and you've got them in specific targeted areas. In the other areas you have got big cavities, so the mud doesn't stay in the first place. Although you have got little tiny bits of mud in mine, because I've covered a lot of miles in them in lots of different distances. I did an ultra in them about 3 weeks ago. I have cleaned them since, but I did an ultra in them, and on really hard packed terrain they work really well, but also when we got onto really boggy terrain, there's no slipping or sliding or anything. They work really well. One little interesting note about the soles as well is you've got slices of cheese, although some people think these might be pizzas, and then you've got smiley faces, and you've also got sad faces for the downhill as well. You can feel the Mega Grip and how tough it is compared to the what is essentially like the midsole foam in the gaps, which don't need to be as tough and aggressive, so they can be more cushioning for you. So the chassis of the shoe is made from a dual density foam, and you've got a top layer foam, and then you've got a slightly denser bottom foam to it. You've also got the carbon plate in here. So first of all, the dual density foam gives you a really nice progressive landing and then transition from heel to toe. So you retain as much of that momentum as you can. You don't get much power loss from it, but you also have a forked carbon plate. The forked carbon plate's really good because it gives you the protection where you need it, and then it rolls through, and it then becomes progressively more flexible. So as you transition through, it maintains that momentum and helps to push you off. Obviously, you don't need me to tell you about carbon plates. There's acres and acres worth of content online about how carbon plates, particularly in racing and on road shoes where people have been using them for a while now, you'll always see the pros and cons of something like that. I was initially a bit skeptical or dubious about carbon plates in off-road sort of shoes, but if you select the right shoe for the right race, it will really pay dividends. If you're doing something very, very short and technical, then it's probably going to have a little bit too much lateral stiffness for you. And if there's a few times where I've like hit rocks on technical descents, because some of the races that I've done, like some of the ultras, have had technical descents in the first part of the race before my feet have really warmed into an ultra pair of shoes. And so therefore, instead of the shoe like bending around it, what's happened is I've hit it and the shoe's gone to one side. Hasn't had any negative consequences so far for me, but definitely something worth thinking about. You've also got a very, very tough woven upper to it with the toe protector as well. And once again, I've used the extra eyelet that you get for lock lacing to really secure my heel, because I've got quite skinny ankles into the shoe to stop my toes from hitting the front. So if you already own a pair of shoes like the Mafates, which are built for different kinds of terrain, but you are very, very good for distance, but are a jack of all trades, and you knew you were pushing the distance, I'd be very, very tempted to go for Mafate X's with the addition of the carbon plate. Otherwise, if you didn't want to push the carbon for whatever reason, then the Mafates are going to be really, really nice, and sort of they're going to bend to you. So if you are in more technical terrain, some of the Mafates work really well. So the stack on these shoes is a staggering 49mm with an 8mm drop. So it's got one of the higher drops that you'll see on shoes full stop, especially trail shoes. It's got one of the highest stacks you'll find too. Very, very high stack. However, once again, for long distance, that's not a problem. People have got all kinds of different thinking on this. They've got different thoughts from the evolution of where trail shoes have come from. What I would say is come into it with an open mind. If you're doing longer distances where you're thinking about a carbon plate in the first place, maybe you've had Mafates or a similar pair of shoes and you want to experiment with carbon plates, then I would definitely be looking at these. These for me seem to capture the best of both worlds for people that are pushing middle to longer distances or very ultra long distances, and retain as much of the Mafate heritage and things that you get from a pair of jack of all trades shoes, but with the addition of the carbon plate. Lots of other features that run through some of the other shoes in Hoka's range, like the flat gusseted tongue, so then you don't get any tongue migration. I've had that with other pairs of shoes and it's really drove me crazy. With these, I never had any issues with the tongue at all, worked really well. So in summary, the Mafate X's are a fantastic option for people that have already got a pair of trail shoes and want to push for something to help them with distance. Don't be put off by the stack height or the drop. I'd come into your local runner's need, Cotswold Outdoor, try them on, go for a run in them around the shop on the treadmill, just see what they feel like. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised.